All right. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast interview. And today, guys, we are joined by another rock star, amazing special guest. To just give a quick intro and some backstory to our guest today, he is recognized as the father of Affirmations and is the mental health coach to the stars. So he's published over 22 books. He's famous for helping clients make more in 12 weeks than the previous 12 months, works with Hollywood celebrities, 7- and 8-figure company CEOs, professional athletes, top executives, elite professionals, real estate professionals out there murdering it in their real estate business, and more. So really excited and honored to have Dr. Noah St. John on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Joshua. Great to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this, man.
Thank
I mean,
you.
you've created so much success. You've helped your clients create so much success. So I'm really excited to break all of this down. But before we get into, all the amazing things that you're doing and helping your clients do, I'm always intrigued in our guest journeys that led them here in the first place. So rewind the clocks and go back, what led you to beginning your entrepreneur journey and what you're doing now today?
Well, I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. And I know that's a total cliche, but it's totally true. I grew up in this little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which happens to be one of the wealthiest communities in New England. But my family was dirt poor. And I mean that literally, because we lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished house that my parents ended up losing to foreclosure when I was just 15 years old. So from a very young age, I was painfully exposed to the gap, the chasm between the haves and the have-nots. The haves was everyone else in the community. The have-nots was my family. Now, I'm sure we've all heard, motivational speakers or whatever, and they get on stage and they say, well, we were poor, but we were happy. We didn't know we were poor. Well, in my family, we freaking knew we were poor because my mother, bless her heart, reminded us every day that we were poor and miserable. So no, it wasn't happy. It sucked. And so from a young age, I hated that life of poverty and fear, lack, not enoughness. That's what I grew up with. But I saw that right down the street, there's great wealth and abundance. So I literally said, how the heck do I get from here to there? Now, of course, there was no one to help me, nobody in my family, and there was no internet back then. So I did the only thing that I could think of to do, which is I just went to the library and I started reading books. I started reading every book that I could in the self-help section. I just went to the self-help section, read every book, all the classics, Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, Stephen Covey. And I just really immersed myself in self-help books. I read every one that I could. And I spent many, many years doing that. But as hard as I worked, as hard as I tried, I noticed they all said basically the same thing. You got to change your beliefs, you got to change your habits, and and they, said a lot of stuff, and they pretty much all said the same thing. So I tried to make it work. I worked really hard, and I just couldn't get it to work. So at the age of 25, I decided to commit suicide. I decided to take my own life because I was like, you know what? I don't see any way out of this, and I'm just done. Now, at the very last moment, my life was spared. Now, I didn't know why at the time. But I said, well, my life must have been spared for a reason, but I don't know why. I don't know what my purpose is. Why am I here? What am I doing on this earth? And so I didn't know how to answer that question. So I went back to the library and started reading more books, this time on spiritual growth, right? I started reading all these spiritual books. So the first, journey that I did was more like an outer journey. Well, that didn't work. And then when I went on an inner journey, that's when I started to, ask these more deep questions of what is my purpose? What am I here for? And so forth. So then fast forward several years, in 1997, I found my purpose, and I realized that I had discovered some things that were missing in all those books that I'd spent all those years reading. And I realized some distinctions that I knew could really help a lot of people. And so I decided when I was 30 years old, I was living in a 300 square foot basement apartment. I had $800 to my name and a book on HTML. That's all I had. I had no money, no experience, no nothing. But I had realized these distinctions. So I decided to write my first book, which was called Permission to Succeed. And then in 1998, I met Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul. And this was 10 years before The Secret came out. So many years before that. But, he was still very, famous as an author. Of course, he still is to this day. And I met Jack, and I gave him my book, which is self-published at the time, and he loved it. He fell in love with my work. And he said, Noah, I'm going to send this to my publisher and tell him to publish your book. And 8 weeks later, I got a publishing deal from the Chicken Soup publisher. And that's what started my whole publishing journey. And now 20 plus books later, I've written all these books back here. You can see, and here's some books in other languages, 18 languages so far. And, we've helped our coaching clients add over $3 billion in new revenues, meaning we've helped, real estate professionals, entrepreneurs, experts, coaches, chiropractors, health professionals to add 6 and 7 and even 8 figures to their business using my methods. So really, that's how it all started. It started from very humble beginnings, and here we are over 25 years later, and we're able to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, that's so amazing. Such an amazing story. So I'm curious, with your own personal journey, because I mean, so many people are so challenged with that question of what is my purpose? And especially today, it's like there seems to be a lot of people struggling with that. A lot of people that just feel empty, that have lost hope. What was it for your own self that, really it just kind of clicked where you were like, I know it led to writing the book, but like, what was it that internally changed, for you that you discovered helped you find your own purpose?
Well, when I discovered those distinctions that I talked about in the personal and business growth industry, over 25 years ago. And remember, I had nothing, I was living in that 300 square foot basement apartment. So, my life at that time was the result of all the things that I'd done up until that time. Well, now I live in a 6,000 square foot mansion on a hill. So to go from a 300 square foot basement apartment to a 6,000 square foot mansion on a hill, with my wife and, just an incredible life, I've built that because of these distinctions that I now teach other people. And so, one of the parts of what I teach, which we call the power habits system, I teach the power habits of unconsciously successful people. And that's kind of a mouthful, but basically it's very simple. What I realized is that highly successful people, the people that we all look up to, we call them the 1%ers, are doing things unconsciously that they don't even know they're doing, number one, and therefore, number two, they can't teach it to you. So if you think about it, when someone is unconscious at doing something, number one, they don't even know they're doing it, and number two, they could never teach it to you. And so I became the person that identified these unconscious habits, as I call them, the power habits, and started to teach them. And I realized, holy cow, this is in fact the missing piece. And that's what so many people have said about my work over the past 20 plus years is, Noah, thank you for giving me the missing piece. So many people hire me, whether it's one-on-one coaching or group coaching or to do keynote presentations. I'm a keynote speaker as well. They bring me in to do keynote speeches or consulting for corporations. And, they do that after they've tried all this other stuff, going to all the gurus and all this other stuff. And like, they keep hitting that income ceiling, right? And you just keep hitting that ceiling and you're like, I don't understand. I'm working really hard. I'm doing it what, they told me to do, but why do I keep hitting the ceiling? And what I say to people is, well, it's because of what they left out. It's what they didn't tell you. It's like the iceberg principle. They're teaching you the 5% that's above the surface, but they left out the 95% that actually creates your results.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so when you say that, so it's not like, those people that we're learning from, or maybe other mentors, it's not like they're consciously or intentionally leaving these out. As you mentioned, they just don't have conscious awareness that they're doing these things, so it's about unpacking those and uncovering those,
Right.
I'm curious with, you're known as and recognized, I should say, and known as the father of affirmations. And I was reading on your website, where you were talking about so many people get into this self-sabotage loop. And, can you just unpack that a little bit more and talk about, because we always hear about affirmations and all of our podcast listeners are big, going to events, reading books. We always hear about these things, but maybe we're doing them in the wrong manner.
Well, what I want your listeners to realize is that I invented something different in the annals of self-help, and it's called Affirmations. All right. So when we say that I'm the father of Affirmations, I'm the father of Affirmations, meaning I invented this over 25 years ago. So we're not saying affirmations, we're saying Affirmations. Okay. And this, by the way, this is my book of affirmations from Hay House, and you could go to affirmations.com and learn more about that. But the point is, everybody knows what an affirmation is, right? Every single book in self-help ever written, other than mine, talks about you got to use affirmations, right? And what is an affirmation? So like, I'll give you an example. Like as a keynote presenter, right, I speak to corporations, organizations, teams all around the country, around the world. And one of the things I like to do is in my keynote presentation, I'll say, okay, everybody, now everybody say an affirmation, just like they taught us. And everybody say, I am rich, right? And everybody goes, I am rich. And you know what happens next? Everyone starts laughing. And I go, what are you laughing at? And they go, well, I'm not rich. And I say, but you just said you were. And they go, yeah, but I don't believe it. See, now, isn't that the problem with the old method, right? With the old way of doing it, with the affirmation method that we've been taught for centuries, right? We say these positive statements and we want to believe them, but 75% of the time or more, we really don't believe them. In fact, a scientific study was done about this very thing. And it actually showed scientifically that 3 out of 4 people that use the old affirmations method end up more frustrated than before, right? Meaning it doesn't work, right? So imagine if you had a smartphone that didn't work 3 out of the 4 times you tried to use it. You'd probably get a new phone, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I invented 25 years ago is a better phone, a phone for your brain. So anyway, my affirmations method, instead of saying a statement like, I am happy, I am rich, I'm successful, and your brain goes, no, you're not, right? Because, yeah, right. So instead of doing that with my affirmations method, you use an empowering question, right? So rather than a statement, you form an empowering question. So instead of saying something like, I'm rich, and your brain goes, no, you're not, you would say, why am I so rich? Why am I so rich? Now your brain goes, what? But see, what happens is when you ask that question, what immediately happens in your brain? You actually start to search for the answer, right? And so what I'm teaching, in my books and my courses and my coaching and my keynote speeches is the law of sowing and reaping. As you sow, so shall you reap. Now, this is an ancient law. It's been taught for centuries. And yet, what are we sowing? We're sowing seeds of thought. And yet, do you know what most people are doing? They're sowing lousy thought seeds. Why am I so stupid? Why am I so fat? Why can't I lose weight? Why isn't my business growing? Why can't I get more listings? Why is there more month left at the end of the money? And when you ask lousy questions, what do you get?
Yep.
You get lousy answers, right? And that creates a lousy life. So using my affirmations method, and again, I'll show you what it looks like. It's just AFFORMATIONS, affirmations, affirmations.com, or you can look that up on Amazon. Affirmations, you use empowering questions that instantly engage the embedded presupposition factor of the brain, and that means you're searching for the answer. So the point is, because of the law of sowing and reaping, which you can never get away from, you're already doing this. What's amazing about my affirmations method is 2 things. Number 1, you're already doing it. Every single human being on this planet, all 8 billion of us, are already using my affirmations method. There's only 2 problems. Number 1, you don't know you're doing it unless you've read my books or taken my coaching or whatever it is. You don't even know you're doing this, number 1. But number 2, most human beings are asking really lousy questions, like the ones I gave you a moment ago, right? And when you ask lousy questions, you get lousy answers. That leads to lousy habits and lousy results, and that's a lousy life. So using my affirmations method, we flip it on its head and we start asking empowering questions, which leads to better answers, which leads to better habits, better results. And that's how you change your life using my affirmations method.
Yeah. And speaking to, the self-sabotage, I mean, and, I catch myself doing this too, but it's like, like the negative self-talk and the way we beat ourselves up, man. Like, why am I so dumb? Why am I so bad at this? Why am I, and that just but gets your mind down that wrong path and just creates that self-sabotage loop. So with that being said, I mean, how important, because not only are you somebody that has created massive success for you and your family, but you've helped so many others. What percentage of, and this might be, a hard question to, put a percentage to, but, how important, I guess, does, like, when it comes to that self-internal talk, like, what is, because, to your point, it's like all these self-help books that I've read are always, okay, here's the tactical and strategic steps, but very rarely are they, okay, here's the mental game that you need to be playing as well.
Right.
How important is that to our overall success journeys?
Well, I've helped my clients add over $3 billion over the last 20 plus years. 95% of that growth, meaning helping people add 6 figures, 7, 8, and 9 figures, has come from exactly what I'm talking about right now. Fixing, as I call it, your head trash. This is another one of my books, but I won't hold up all 20 books, by the way. But this is another one of my books called Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money. So what you're talking about is what I've been fixing for 25 years, your head trash. So what is head trash, right? So head trash is the voice in your head that says, I can't do it because ... So for everyone listening to this program right now, I want you to think about your goals, right? What is it you want to achieve for the next 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, whatever? Right? What is it you want to achieve? Well, Noah, I want more money. This is what people say to me. I want more money. I want to grow my business. I want to write a book like you've done. I want to create online courses like you've got. I want to, scale my business. I want to exit my business, whatever it is, right? And so you have your goal. And by the way, it's not just money, right? You would talk about, I want to lose weight. I want to get in shape. I want to find love. I want to, fix my marriage, whatever it might be, right? So we're not just talking about money or business. We're talking about your life, right? It's everything. Because remember, this only affects every single thing, every part of your life, right? So the point is, think about your goals, right? So what happens is most people say, well, I want this, I want X, Y, Z, but I don't think I can do it. I probably can't do it because ... Now, everything that comes after the word because is what you're telling yourself and what you will defend to the death. So ironically, when we are holding ourselves back, which is almost all humans that you will meet, we are doing it because of this thing that I've been fixing for the last 25 years. Okay. And that is your head trash. Your head trash says, well, I can't do it because, and guess what? You always make yourself right. If you say, Noah, I want to grow my business, but I don't have the time, you're going to make yourself right. If you say, well, Noah, I want to write a book, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to start. You're going to make yourself right. If you're saying, I want to find love, but I don't have the right connections, I don't know anybody, you're going to make yourself right. So we humans have an infinite capacity to make ourselves right. So my question that I always ask my audience members or my coaching clients, whether it's one-on-one or group coaching, is, would you rather be rich and happy, or would you rather be right? Let me give you a quick example of this. So I was talking with one of my clients, his name's Charles. And I asked him the question I ask every single one of my clients, whether it's one-on-one or group coaching. I say, Charles, how much do you think your head trash is going to cost you this year? In other words, if we don't fix this problem, how much do you think you're going to lose out on? Without missing a beat, he said $1 million. Noah, if I don't fix this problem, and he had read my books, he was familiar with my teaching. He said, if I don't fix this problem, if I don't take out my head trash, I'm going to lose $1 million this year. I mean, I'm going to lose out on that. And I said, okay, first of all, I hear this all the time. Every day, people come to me and they say, no, if I don't fix this problem, I'm going to easily lose $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month. I mean, that's 6-7 figures a year. That's a lot of money, right? I mean, that's a lot of money that you're losing out on. I said, so first of all, it's very common. Number two, I tell you what, I said to him, I'll tell you what, just give me 10% of that $1 million and I will find you that $1 million in the next 12 months. In other words, if you give me $1 and I give you $10 back, is that a good deal? He goes, well, yeah, that's a good deal. I said, so let's do it. So he did that. He paid me $100,000. That's 10% of $1 million, right? So he paid me $100K to coach him one-on-one for a year. That's what it cost for me to coach someone one-on-one for a year. So I coached him one-on-one, walked him through the whole process, and he was a great client. He did everything I told him to do. Well, guess what? I didn't find him $1 million in the next 12 months. Instead, I found him $1.8 million in just 10 months. So he gave me $1. I gave him $18 back. Is that a good deal? No, that's a great deal. You're welcome. Anyway, and then he just sent me an email recently and he said, Noah, guess where I am? I'm on a 7-week vacation with my wife. We just bought a new RV with all this money, this new money we've got, and we're taking 7 weeks off. We're driving around the Southeast. And he said, Noah, not only do I have more money than ever before, I also have more time than ever before because of installing these systems and getting rid of my head trash. So that's how much your head trash can be costing someone right now.
Yep. No, I love it. So then, when you say that, okay, building a 7-figure or 8-figure life, is more than just money, and most people are thinking, okay, 7 figures, 8 figures, that's money, so
Sure.
like, what do you mean to that? Or what do you mean by that?
Yeah, sure. So this now, and I know I keep doing this, but here's another one of my books, the 7-figure life. This is what we're talking about. So we're talking about the 7-figure life. So the subtitle of it, and by the way, we want to let people know where they can get a lot of cool bonuses when they get this book, How to Leverage the 4 Focus Factors for More Wealth and Happiness. So that's the subtitle of this book. The title is The 7-Figure Life. Okay. So this is what I've been teaching my clients for 20 plus years, is how to leverage these 4 focus factors. Okay, so I will answer your question by giving you an example, like when I do my keynote presentations. All right, so like in my keynote presentations, one of the things I'll do, I'll say to the audience members, I'll say, okay, I'll tell you what, now I'm going to give you $1 million right now. Everybody here, I'm going to give you $1 million. Of course, they go, yeah, excited. There's just one catch. I go, what's the catch? I say, okay, I'm going to give you $1 million, but you have no time to enjoy it. You have no time whatsoever. You have too much to do, too little time, and no time whatsoever. You can't see your family, your friends, and you have no time at all. Does that sound like a good deal? And they're like, well, not really. No, that's not a great deal. No. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $1 million, but you have to be sad, angry, miserable, and depressed all the time. Sound good? No, right? Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $1 million, but you can't have any relationships, right? You have no family, no friends, and no relationships at all. Sound good? No, right? See, none of that sounds any good. See, so that's how I prove that when we talk about the 7-figure life, we're talking about these 4, as I call them, the 4 focus factors. The 4 focus factors that I just showed you are time, energy, relationships, and money. So everybody's focused on money, 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 money. Of course, hey, we all want more money, right? Of course. But the point is, if you don't have or leverage these 4 focus factors, time, energy, relationships, and money, your life is going to be out of whack. It's going to be out of balance. Right. And so the point is that that's how I show people through an example, just a funny example of how important those 4 focus factors are. So, in the book and in my coaching, I show you how to leverage those 4 focus factors: time, energy, relationships, and money. And, literally how to do that and why it's so important that you are not just focused on the money. Because what happens is there's so many, gurus or whatever out there that are teaching the hustle and grind. Right? If you're not working 14, 16, 18 hours a day, you're a loser. And I'm like, who the hell are you? What? I want a life, buddy. I don't want to be working all the time. Is that why you started your own business? So you could work 14, 16, 18 hours a day and never see your family and friends? Does that sound any good? Be sad, depressed, and miserable all the time? Heck no. Are you kidding me? So the point is, I'm frankly offering a counterpoint to, their argument, which is, oh, if you're not working on Christmas Eve and 18 hours a day, you're a loser. I'm like, really? Maybe that works for some people, but there's a lot of people that don't want to live that way.
Yeah. 100%. So then, speaking of that, one of the things that, you're notorious for, if you will, is helping your clients go out there and figure out how to create more money, more wealth in 12 weeks than they can in 12 months. So I know this is an entrepreneur thing, but, speaking to our audience, real estate professionals, man, this is, it's always like, hey, this isn't a job. It's not a career. It's a lifestyle, right? For so many, and time management quickly becomes the number one problem that most of them have. Like what are some of the keys that you have found to, I guess, essentially create more time, do more with less?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is, again, I want people to realize that I am coming from the opposite direction of the hustle and grinders. Okay. That's their entire argument is just work your face off and then you'll make more money. And I'm like, that's actually really dumb. It's really dumb. And what that shows me is you don't have systems in place. Of course you can work, but you can also be doing everything wrong. And then, what's the point? There is no point. So the reason that I'm able to help my clients make more in just 12 weeks than they did in the previous 12 months while winning back 1 to 3 hours per day and 4 to 8 weeks per year is by installing these systems, by leveraging these 4 focus factors I just talked about. So one of the things that we look at is what I call inner game and outer game. So if you think of two intersecting circles, like a Venn diagram, where you've got inner game and outer game, right? And inner game is everything that happens between your ears that you can't see directly, but it affects everything that you do. So for example, when I'm doing my keynote presentations, I'll often say to my audience members, what's one area of your life where your beliefs don't affect you? And they go, and I go, exactly. There's no place your beliefs don't affect you, right? Your beliefs are affecting every single part of your life right now. Your health, your wealth, your finances, your business, your career, your relationships, your family life, your social life. But here's the thing, you can't see a belief. You can only see the effects of a belief, right? So if you're stuck or if you're hitting what I call the income ceiling, right? That's what I was talking about earlier. People who, hire me, whether it's one-on-one coaching or group coaching or keynote presentations, they just keep hitting that income ceiling, right? They're working really, really hard, but they just can't seem to break through that ceiling. Well, that shows me that you don't have the right inner game and outer game systems in place. All right. So that's the inner game, is everything that happens up here between your ears, but you can't see it directly, but it's affecting everything. But then you also have the outer game. Now, the outer game is everything you can see directly, right? That's your systems and strategies, and that's what everybody's focused on. But the point is, if you haven't mastered your inner game and your outer game, you are going to hit your income ceiling. I'll give you a quick example of that. So I was speaking for a group of entrepreneurs in Los Angeles, about 1,000 entrepreneurs. And, these are 6, 7, 8-figure earners. So, high level people, right? And I was telling them exactly what I'm telling you guys, right now. I'm just sharing exactly, inner game and outer game and everything that I was saying. Anyway, so I got off the stage, I was walking off the stage, and a man came up to me out of the audience, and he literally said to me, Noah, you are the coach I've been looking for. All right, I want to hire you as my coach. Now, I didn't know this man from Adam. Ironically, his name was Adam. And I said, okay, what's going on? I literally didn't know who it was. He just ran up to me. So he said, Noah, my company keeps hitting this income ceiling. We're at 7 figures a year. I mean, so we're doing well, but we have been stuck, and I keep hitting this ceiling for the last 4 years. 4 years we've had no growth, right? And I keep hitting that income ceiling you were just talking about. And he said, as soon as I heard you speak about inner game, outer game, and head trash and 7-figure life, everything you just said, he said, I knew you were the coach I've been looking for. So that's why I love working with, high level people, peak performers, because they make decisions quickly and firmly, right? They don't dilly dally around. They don't mess around. So he literally hired me on the spot. So I coached him for 2 years, one-on-one. And in that 2 years, we took his company from being stuck at 7 figures for the previous 4 years to over $20 million in revenues in less than 2 years. That's 600% growth in less than 2 years. And the key to the point, or the point of the story, is that 95% of what I told him and taught him and showed him was inner game. See, he had spent all this money, and he had, spent all this money on all these gurus out there, but they were all about marketing, and outer game, which there's nothing wrong with it. But see, if you don't master your inner game and as well as work on your outer game, it's like building a house and you forgot to put the electricity in. And it's like, why is it so cold in here? Or in this case, maybe wherever you are, maybe it's really hot. The point is, there's no electricity because you forgot. That's what the inner game is. Because remember, you can't see electricity, but you can definitely see the effects of electricity. That's what the inner game and outer game is like.
Yeah. How would, the obvious would maybe be, okay, if somebody's stuck or struggling, but how do people have awareness? Because again, you mentioned that you can't see it. Is it just through, deep self-reflection of, paying attention to what you're thinking about, what those thoughts are, to be able to discover what that inner game challenge is?
Well, that's the system that I created 25 years ago. It's called the Power Habit System. And, this is it. It's in, it's in my books, and I created a system that fixes the problem. It fixes the actual root cause of the problem. See, because what happens is the gurus out there are talking about symptoms, right? Hey, if you're not making more money, then spend more on advertising. Okay. Yeah, maybe, but probably not. I'll give you a real life example. Like in I have a coaching program called the 12-week breakthrough, where I help I help people make more than 12 weeks and in the past 12 months while winning their lives back. So one of the women who's in my course right now, and she's a real estate professional. So like I think I said this, but I don't know if I did. I felt realtors and real estate professionals make hundreds of millions of dollars over the last 20 plus years, hundreds of millions of dollars. But the irony of that is I don't teach you how to make money in real estate. I teach you how to stop stopping yourself from making money in real estate. So this is exactly what she and everybody that I coach was doing. So her name's Catherine, and she, hired me, and she'd spent all this money on all those gurus, same story over and over again. And, she was very skeptical, but, she had heard me speak on, a podcast like this. And anyway, she decided to hire me, join my 12-week breakthrough program. Well, I walked her through my Power Habit System, and, slowly but surely she started to just, and it's literally just filling in the blanks. I literally just give you the system and I ask you, or, show you how to fill in the blanks, and you just fill in the blanks. In week 5 of a 12-week program with me, in week 5, she sent me an email. She said, Noah, I just raised $185,000 in one day today because of what you taught me. Now, I want people to realize I didn't teach her how to raise $185,000. I taught her how to stop stopping herself from raising $185,000. She raised $185,000 in one day because of what I taught her. That was what was fascinating about that, is that she had purchased a course years ago and never even looked at it. It was what I call shelf help. How many of the folks listening have a lot of shelf help, right? You buy a course and then, it's probably not going to work, and you don't even use it. Well, guess what? What's that called? Head trash. So there's no place that this isn't affecting you. So she walked through the program, I walked her through it, and she realized, wait a minute, I can go back and go to that thing. And she started to use it because she didn't think she could do it. She did it in one day, raised $185,000. That's about 1,600% ROI. Hello. So the point is, that's how it works. It's like so many people don't even realize that they're holding themselves back from the level of success they're capable of. But see, what's so funny about Catherine's and every other example is, everybody says, well, believe in yourself, you can do it. No kidding, right? That doesn't help you. You need a systematic. And so I created the world's only system that fixes the actual cause of the problem, the cause of income ceiling, the cause of self-sabotage. Everybody else is just talking about symptoms. Hey, believe in yourself. Okay, well, what if I don't believe in myself? What am I supposed to do now? See, they never tell you that. So that's where I fill in the blanks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like, you go to the doctor for, I don't know, something with the heart and they just give you a pill.
Exactly.
Versus, okay, let's assess your blood work. Let's assess your diet. Let's assess your activities. Let's go and
Right.
really fix the root cause issue.
That's exactly right. And I use that analogy all the time. So you're exactly right. And that is the point. I mean, they're saying things that aren't exactly wrong, right? So let's take that, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. You can do it. Okay. What do you want me to do? Right? What am I? And what if I don't believe in myself? Well, come on, believe in yourself. It's like basically like saying, well, listen, if you want to lose weight, make sure you lose weight. What? If you want to build a house, go do it. What? I mean, you didn't say anything, so that's that. You can say I get very excited. I get worked up because I was that guy doing that. I spent over $500,000 going to all these guys, realizing they can't teach their way out of a paper bag. There's no there. They're great self-promoters. They're great at self-marketing. But once you pay them the money, there's nothing there. And they just say, come on, you can do it. Do what? What is it you want me to do? Well, do it. Okay, I'm going to punch you in the face now, So anyway, I get a little exasperated, but you see what I mean? And anyway, my point is my story is definitely I'm not alone in this. This is very common right now, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So then, if somebody is looking at this and they're like, well, because you just talked about, well, what if you don't believe in yourself? Because it's like, right. Okay, maybe you've been struggling at this problem for maybe 5 years straight, and you just keep getting knocked down and beat down and beat down and beat down. And maybe it's a thing of, hey, I don't believe it's not possible. Maybe it's just not possible for me. Maybe I'm not, there's a lot of that goes on.
Yes.
That can be turned around.
Well, that's exactly what Catherine was saying. The woman I just told you about who raised $185,000 in 1 day. 1 day. Okay. Imagine what she's going to do for the rest of her life, right? I mean, that's crazy. Right. My point is that's exactly what she was saying. Oh, well, yeah, this probably, I don't think it will work for me. Head trash. So one of the things I say to my clients all the time is, how much longer are you going to let this guy push you around? The guy in your head, I mean, right? I mean, you have, and I've called it this for 25 years, a bully in your head. You have a bully in your head, a bully that is pushing you around. Now, what does a bully do? Think about this. What does a bully do? Well, in school, a bully, takes your lunch money, right? Or whatever, right? They push you around because, they perceive you as weak, right? And of course, we let this head trash in our head bully us. So I am very anti-bullying, but I'm anti-bullying, not just human to human, but ourselves to ourselves. Because most of us have a bully up here that is beating the crap out of us every single day. Oh, you're an idiot. You can't do anything right. Why are you so stupid? Oh man, you're such a failure. You can't do anything right. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's very mean, isn't it? I mean, that's just mean. And by the way, notice you would never say that to anybody else. You would never say that to anyone. You probably couldn't even say that to your worst enemy. Meanwhile, you're saying it to yourself 1,000 times a day. So one of the things that I teach you in the Power to Habit system, and in my coaching, and that's one of the things I help Catherine with and everybody, is realizing, wait a minute, I don't have to listen to this guy anymore. I'll give you another quick example of this. I was speaking at because I speak at real estate conferences all, over the country, all around the country, around the world. I mean, because think about this, everybody listening to this program or most people are real estate professionals, right? Where's real estate? It's up here. The real estate between your ears is the most valuable real estate you've got. But most people are ignoring this real estate. I'm pointing to my temple here, if you can't see. But my point is, that's the most valuable real estate you've got. So I was speaking at a real estate conference, which I speak a lot of them. And a man came up to me after I spoke, and his name's Bill. And he said, he was very skeptical. I could tell he, tried it all. Everybody's skeptical at this point. So anyway, he was very skeptical. He said, well, what makes this any different? He was just kind of like, what makes this any different from all this other stuff out there? I'm like, I don't know, man. Did you hear anything I said? If you didn't get it, then I guess this isn't for you, because I had just finished speaking. I mean, like, dude, if you didn't get it in 45 minutes or whatever speaking, then you probably shouldn't get this. And so, see, he was expecting a sales pitch. He's like, he was ready for that. And he's like, wait a minute, you just unsold me. What are you doing? Wait. So he bought it, of course. He signed up, right? And he was like, all right, I'll try this. Anyway, so he had been hitting an income ceiling. I mean, it's the same story over and over again. He was hitting an income. He was doing well, though. I mean, he was at like 6 figures, so doing well, but he knew he could do a lot more. And he spent so much money on all this other stuff. One reason he was skeptical, right? Oh, what makes this any different? And so, but, he took my class. I was able to coach him. So he started doing multi-million-dollar deals. And then he started doing multi-billion-dollar deals. In less than 3 years, he made over $300 million as a result of this. And you can go to my website. You can see all these videos. I've got so many videos and case studies because I realized that most people just don't believe it because they're so skeptical because they've been burned by these gurus out there, right? We've all been, most people have been burned at this point, me included. Again, I spent over $500,000 in 20 years to find out that there's no there. My point is, so, he raised or had made over $300 million as a result of this. And on his video, he says none of this would have been possible if not for what Noah taught me, what I learned from Noah. So there you go.
Yeah. 100%. I love it. So then, because and maybe this is a good place to let people know where to go for your website. Because when we go on your website, and you just mentioned checking out those testimonials, I'm on there and I'm seeing it's not just, entrepreneurs that maybe we haven't heard of, but they're telling them, you've got Jenny McCarthy on there. You got a bunch of famous people on there that are just
Gary V.
sharing Gary V. And so many others, sharing their praises about you and your work and the, transformations they've made in their life. So, where is the best place if people want to learn more about, your books, your coaching program? It looks like you have quite a few different options, one-on-one coaching, plus group coaching programs.
Yep. Yes, I do. So just talking about this particular book, 7-Figure Life, if you go to 7figurelifebook.com, it's easy to remember, 7figurelifebook.com. You can order the book and I'll give you $300 worth of free bonus gifts when you order. And, just have to enter your order info, 7figurelifebook.com. And then if you go to breakthroughwithnoah.com, that's the other site. We didn't mention that yet. Breakthrough with Noah, because I'm known as the breakthrough coach, right? I help you add 6, 7, 8 figures. It's pretty amazing. Anyway, breakthroughwithnoah.com. And you can watch an 11-minute video of, really what I've been talking about, really just kind of an encapsulation of my philosophy and how I'm different and so forth, and see lots and lots of case studies and so forth. And then you can actually book a breakthrough consultation with me or one of my coaches at breakthroughwithnoah.com.
Yep. Love it. So then, all right. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, you've written 22 books. Mm-hmm. If I want to start down, binging your content, is there, a best place that you recommend to start?
Oh boy. Honestly, I would start with this book here. And I know I've shown you a lot of books and I apologize. But anyway, if you go to, and this is easy to remember, sendmeabooknoah.com, sendmeabooknoah.com. This book is actually free. We just ask you to cover the shipping. So it's called Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money. And this is like a primer on my work. You'll notice it's actually a pretty, thin book. You can get through it probably in, a day or two. So we made this a real easy read and it's free. So sendmeabooknoah.com. This is a great place to start because it really gives you, like a 30,000 foot view but it's still very tactical and very step by step. I hate it when I get through a book and I go, you didn't say anything, buddy. You just told a bunch of fluffy stories and you didn't help me. I hate that. So, one of the things that I love is to see, on Amazon, I get a lot of 5-star reviews and people say, Noah's written all these books and he keeps getting better. What's ironic about that is I've actually published 7 books in the last 3 years, and I've still got 2 more coming out in the next 6 months. So these last few years have actually been very productive for me since the pandemic. I guess I got to stay home and not travel so much. I'm like, let's write some books. So It's actually been fun. But yeah, that's also a nice place to. And by the way, if you just go to noahstjohn.com, that's my main website, Noah St. John. It's easy to remember. That's my name, noahstjohn.com. And you can go to programs and coaching and books. And there's just lots of different places you can start. But honestly, breakthroughwithnoah.com is a great place to start for the reason that I said. It really gives you the best overview, just that 30,000 foot view, an 11-minute video. And then, you can book a breakthrough consultation, which is complimentary. So, with me or one of my coaches. That's what I would recommend.
Yep. Love it. So then, and this, I'm guessing would fall under the, get rid of your head trash category. But, right now with the economy, with the real estate market, and a lot of,
Mhm.
our podcast listeners, are
Mhm.
very, very aware and very dialed into, things that are taking place in the financial system.
Yep.
They're, very savvy when it comes to this, because we need to be
Right.
on top of our business. And there's a lot of different moves, a lot of things happening that are creating a lot of fear.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we've also seen with this unaffordability crisis in real estate, the lowest transaction volume that we've seen in over 40 years. And,
Mm.
so when it comes to that fear, and again, I'm
Mhm.
assuming that is still, head trash of that fear creates that uncertainty, that negative self-talk. But for those that are having a lot of that fear right now about where's this thing going, which might be blocking them from maximizing the opportunities that exist out there, like, what do you recommend for somebody that, and it's not that, some of the fear maybe isn't justified, because we're seeing some, massive changes.
Well, so what I want folks to remember is a couple things. Number one, no matter what the economy is doing, there's always people who are making a ton of money.
Yeah.
That's just always the case. Always has been, always will be. All right. So when everybody's saying the sky is falling and there's fear, there's a few people in the corner just counting their money going, man, this is great. So just keep that in mind. And so my question to you is, well, why not you? Why does that have to be them? Why can't it be you? So just that thought alone can help just to get you out of that head trash. That's point number one. Point number two is, when you think about it, there are 5 sort of steps that happen. The first is circumstance. Now, circumstance means things that you can't really control. So as an example, a global pandemic. Now, none of us can control that, right? I mean, that just happened. So, but what happens then as a result is everything you can control. So you have the circumstance, then you have a thought about that circumstance. That thought leads to a feeling. That feeling leads to an action, and that action leads to a result. All right. So that's the order that happens. So what I have been teaching for over 25 years is how to change the things that we can control. Because as I just stated, you can't. So the irony is, you can't control the beginning and you can't control the end. The beginning is the circumstance, as I just said, a global pandemic. Okay, that happened. The economy. You can't control the economy. Nobody controls the economy, whatever. It's just sitting there, right? So it's up, it's down, the blah, blah, blah. It's like the stock market, whatever, right? There's lots of examples of that, right? So, but the point is, you can control your thoughts. You absolutely can. So I've taught you, and I mean, I've been teaching for 25 years, how to change your thoughts from negative to positive using my Affirmations method. Again, it's AFFORMATIONS, Affirmations. And you can go to affirmations.com and get my Affirmations event. So that's how to change your thoughts. Then when you change your thoughts, you change your feelings. Your feelings automatically change. So people say, oh, I feel this way. No, your feelings didn't just come out of nowhere. Your feelings came from your thoughts. What you think controls your thoughts. What you think controls your thoughts, and that controls your emotions. But people don't realize that. So they let their emotions control them. But see, then what happens is their emotions control their actions. So we humans are driven by our emotions, but our emotions are caused by our thoughts. Why don't we start at the cause? Your thoughts. And most people's thoughts are really, really negative. I can't do anything right. Why am I so stupid? Nothing ever works out for me. Well, guess what? You're going to be right. You're always going to make yourself right, like I talked about earlier. So then you have your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, and then that leads to your results. Now, the fact is, you can't control results either. So that's what I mean by you can't control the beginning or the end. Does that make sense? You can't control circumstance, but you also can't control results. But you can control all the stuff in the middle. All right. Meaning, you could do everything right. You're doing your sales calls, you're, making your, doing your bids, all of the stuff that you know how to do. That's the outer game, right? That's your outer game. You've probably spent tens of thousands of dollars on outer game and leads and marketing. Great. Has anybody ever helped you in the inner game? Other than, oh, you got to believe in yourself, which is basically like putting a Band-Aid on a heart attack.
Yeah.
So the point is, if you keep hitting that income ceiling, I've fixed that 25 years ago. So, get my books, get my coaching, whatever you want to do. But the point is, fix your inner game. And that's what causes that hockey stick growth. You still can't control results. You can't control who's going to buy from you or who's not going to buy, who's going to list, who's not going to. You can't control that. But you can control all the middle part. And over time, well, like Bill, $100 million deals, Catherine, 185K in a day, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, man. And it happens quick, right?
It can, absolutely. Because remember, you're keeping yourself down. You are doing it to yourself. Now, you're not controlling circumstances and you can't control results, but you can absolutely control your thoughts. I fixed everything 25 years ago. So why not take advantage of it?
Yep. 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 No, I love it. Yeah. And where I was going with it happening quick is whether it's, with that inner game, me, like here's an example. Okay. Like I've never really been a proponent of watching the news, well, then COVID happens and
Right.
everything and I'm like, maybe I should have some awareness of what's going on in the world, right? Because I had no idea that we even locked down. I'm in LA at LAX, flying home to Phoenix, and
Right.
I'm like, what the hell's going on? Right. So then I find out what's going on. And
Right.
so I'm like, all right, maybe I should start paying attention to this news. Well, within about 2 weeks, I found myself operating from fear, right? Like,
Exactly.
it changed
Exactly.
my inner game so damn quick by just something I added of 15, 20 minutes a day.
That's how not to do it. But I totally get it. You're absolutely, I tell people all the time, if you want to be depressed, make sure you watch the news.
Yep.
How about not do that? Believe me, you'll find out. You'll find out eventually. You do not have to sit there. And all you need to remember is if it bleeds, it leads. That is absolutely true. It will never not be true. If it bleeds, it leads. That means their job is to keep you in fear. By the way, if you notice, and this is so funny, I tell my clients this all the time. If you ever watch the news, which please don't, but if you happen to, they give you 28 minutes of blood, guts, fear, and gore, and then they give you the last 2 minutes of kittens and puppies. To make you feel a little better or to make themselves feel better. Okay, we just killed you for 28 minutes. Now here's some kittens and puppies so we feel better about ourselves. Okay, great. So just watch the last 2 minutes if you have to. Yeah, kittens and puppies. Oh, cool. All right. Now I'm happy again. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So then, go into your own personal self, right? And speaking about your own personal success, and I know you're teaching your coaching clients the things that you've learned for your success journey, man, you've written 22 books. You mentioned that you got what, 3 more in the works, I think you said, right? So like what at this stage of the game keeps you continuing to push and continue to work so hard?
Well, I have a stated mission. If you go to our website, if you go to noahstjohn.com, our stated mission is to raise humanity's consciousness one question at a time. So I don't think anybody would argue with the statement that humanity really needs a reset right now. Right? Hello. So, I think there's also a good argument to be made that we humans are at a crossroads right now on planet Earth. I think we are. So my job, my mission is to teach the world what I discovered 25 years ago. And there's still lots of people who, have never heard of me, don't know about Affirmations, don't know about power habits, and so on and so on. So, I know I've got a big job ahead of me, and that's what keeps me going, because I'm like, hey, you know what? I helped some people today. I want to help more people tomorrow. So that's my job. I fixed everything 25 years ago, and now my job is just to, if you want, shout it from the rooftops. That's what I've been doing as best as I can for the past 25 years. And but hey, there's still a few billion people who haven't heard of me yet. So you know what I mean? So that's what keeps me going, is realizing, wait a minute, I've got a lot of people to help. And I don't mean that like, I'm some perfect guy or whatever. I'm just saying, listen, I fixed everything with these systems. I've proven they've worked times 10,000, just go on the website. You just said it. I have more case studies than anybody in this industry. I just do. And the reason I do that, by the way, I just want to mention something real quick. The reason I do that is because if you look at this industry, and I'm talking about, the guru industry, the personal business development industry, you basically have two kinds of people, or gurus, if you want. You have system-driven success, you have personality-driven success and system-driven success. So personality-driven success is exactly what it sounds like. That's what those gurus do, right? The gurus are very, very good at getting attention for themselves. They're great self-marketers and great self-promoters, okay? But if you notice their marketing, and if you kind of can look behind it a little bit, you'll notice that their marketing is all about them. Hey, look at my helicopter. Hey, look at my plane. Hey, look at my yacht. Hey, look at my car. Aren't I awesome? Yeah, you're awesome, man. Have you helped anybody else? Have you helped anybody else? Like, I don't know, make money, succeed, do anything? And the answer usually is not really, so they're all about, look how cool I am. And see, social media, of course, exacerbates that. But then you have system-driven success, which is much rarer. And that's what I've been teaching for 25 years, is a system. And that's why, if you look at my marketing, I'd rather brag about my clients than me. If you'll notice, even in this interview, what have I bragged about? My clients. Yeah, of course I've made money. Yeah, I live in a nice house. I'm doing, I've made millions, I've lost millions, whatever. But who cares? Isn't it more important to find someone who's helped other people reach their goals? That should be like a duh to me. But see, it's not really done that way in this industry. In this industry, those guys are taking all the air in the room because they're great self-promoters, great self-marketers, and they're spending a ton of money. So the point is, here I am doing this thing and helping people and whatever, but that's why my job is to show people through proof. And to me, my point is you can't overprove it. You can't give people, too much evidence because they have been burned by those guys. So, I got to clean up after all those guys now. And that's what I've had to do for a long time now. But that's what I just want folks to realize, that there is a difference between personality-driven success and system-driven success.
Yep. No, I'd 100% agree with that. So then, if Noah today, knowing everything that you've learned, through this 25-year-long journey now, could go back with your younger version of your younger self, sitting on a park bench, and give yourself a couple pieces of advice that you feel would have, fast forwarded the success trajectory that you're on, what would those couple of pieces of advice look like, knowing what you know now today?
Yeah, the first thing is what I just said. I would have said, dude, don't give them any money. They suck at teaching. They can't teach away out of a paper bag. And I bought that because, see, those images are very seductive. Why do you think they do it? They do it to seduce you. And it works. No kidding. Why do you think he's got a helicopter and a plane and all this stuff? I mean, duh. So it works. But I would say to me, please don't give them any money. They can't, they suck. They don't have anything to say. There's no there. And God, that would have saved me years of my life and hundreds of thousands of dollars, literally. And I have a spreadsheet to prove it. And the other thing I would say is, and I know this sounds going to sound funny after what I've been saying, but I would say to trust yourself more, to trust your instincts. I got to tell you a quick story about that. In November of 2020, I woke up. It was the Saturday before Thanksgiving of 2020. So this was the height of the pandemic, right? Everything was shut down and fear, right? And I woke up at 6 a.m. that morning with a vision. And I said, we're supposed to move. Now, my wife and I, we lived in a nice home. She has other kids from previous marriages and they had lived with us, but now they had moved out. So it was just her and me. And we lived in a nice house in a nice neighborhood. So I'm like, why would we move? I don't really need to move right now. I mean, what is this? But I'm sure we've all had that, right? I'm sure you've had that, right? You've had a vision and it didn't make any logical sense, but you listened to it, right? And you followed it. And of course it ended up being really good, I bet. So I did. I've had enough of this happen over the years. I realized, I got to listen to that part of me. So anyway, I got out of bed and I started searching online, just for houses in the area. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm going, well, maybe, 6 months to a year, there's no hurry. I mean, everything's fine. We're good, right? So I'm clicking around, and I find this incredible home on Zillow. And I went, holy crap. Wow. And I just looked at the pictures. I'm like, holy crap. Oh my God. This is incredible. And I looked and I went, this is the most incredible house I've ever seen. And they just dropped the price. And there's an open house tomorrow. I said to my wife, honey, you want to go see a house tomorrow? She said, sure. We drive up the driveway. She says, I'm packing tonight. 12 weeks later, we moved into this house. That's how your life can change in 12 weeks. If you're willing to listen to that inner part of you, your higher self and not your head trash, that inner part of you, and take action. So I love telling that story because that's a true story of how I found and got this house when it didn't even make any logical sense.
Yeah, no, I love it. Such powerful stuff. And Noah, truly appreciate your time. Truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to be here, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And, hope we can do it again sometime. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, 100%. Those watching and listening, as always, we truly appreciate your support. If you scroll below, wherever you're watching or listening, we'll have all Noah's links below, links to the books, everything that he talked about here on this podcast, link below to make it easy for you guys. And again, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time. Peace.